Hey y'all, I have officially lived in Alaska for every single month of the year. I can't believe it. Time has flown by. I'm definitely not where I thought I was gonna be when I came up here for the first time in July of 2021 with my mom. However, things are going pretty well, and I just kind of wanted to give you guys my opinion about what it's like to live here in Southeast Alaska as a woman of color. I feel like it's time for me to share my opinion. For those of you who are new here, my name is Loui. I am 25 years old and I live alone here in Southeast Alaska. I'm not gonna be alone for very much longer because my mother and my brother are going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks, so that's awesome. But we'll get to that. In the questions that you guys asked me on my Instagram. I just wanted to kind of make a low effort video since I've been so busy with work and life. To just kind of update you guys before the summer season begins and lots of fun stuff happens. So here we go. So like a lot of social media people do, you ask on Instagram questions that people want to have answered. So we're just gonna go through them, grab some tea, put your headphones on, start cleaning your kitchen or your house or your van. And I'm gonna answer these questions as honestly and truthfully and authentically as I possibly can. The first question is, where is your mom and are you still going to build your house? I have to admit, I'm a little behind. Yes, my mom and my brother, we have a recruitment up to Southeast Alaska. They are currently, as of filming this video, just got on the road and they are on their way to take the ferry from Bellingham all the way up here. And they're coming back. My mom has been traveling. She was in Mexico for a while. She does have a YouTube channel. I will link it in the description or around here somewhere. So go check that out. She has some videos in Mexico. Yeah, she's been traveling. She's been doing the thing. She avoided winter here, which I think is a smart idea. Although this winter didn't have as much snow as the first winter we were here, it was kind of lame because there wasn't a lot of snow, and when there isn't a lot of snow, there aren't a lot of snow activities you can do. So it was a little disappointing in that she definitely did not miss out on anything this past winter. So I'm super excited to have her back and to have my brother and to show him around the island and show him the way of living here in Alaska, specifically Southeast Alaska. And then are you going to still build your house? So we are definitely going to be working on our property this summer. I'm not going to be sharing it in like a real time kind of schedule with videos. I'm going to film videos about other things in Alaska this summer and different fun adventures we go on. But we are working on it and it's a very costly project. We didn't really realize how expensive it was going to be when we first came up here. We kind of just jumped into it and we're like, we'll figure it out somehow. At least we have the land kind of thing. So yeah, we're slowly working on it. I try to refrain from telling people what the plan is going to be because the plan changes all the time, and I've learned from other people who have built houses here that they can definitely relate and resonate with that. So I don't like to give people definitive what kind of house I'm going to build, although I just have really big hopes that I can still do a tree house. I was even looking at the Nelson Treehouse website. It'd be so cool if I could get a consultation from the treehouse masters just to kind of see what they think about building a treehouse up there. Rant aside, I'm gonna just start sharing that kind of stuff periodically as we get projects done. It's gonna be a lot less pressure on us to perform quickly when the timeline is really out of our control. We have a plan, but that's just how it's going for us. We're just enjoying the journey and living in such a beautiful, special place. All right, cost of living. So now that I've lived here for over a year, I can say that Alaska is definitely more expensive than a lot of the lower 48. I do have to say, when you compare it to places like Colorado or any metro city like New York or LA or Chicago, it is, in my opinion, cheaper just because there's a lot of things that we don't do that you do in a city, if that makes sense. Rents are, I would say, in the middle. It can really vary depending on the place you live, but also it's very dependent on your situation, I have to say. Now that I work in real estate, there are lots of places that are more affordable and there's lots of places that are more expensive. You basically get what you pay for here in terms of rentals and homes. So there's a wide spectrum. Cost of living in terms of food is definitely higher. Check out some of my older videos about Alaska where I have vlogs where we go to like grocery stores and stuff, and I show you guys kind of pricing on that. Something I look forward to doing this summer is kind of offsetting some of the food prices by doing some fishing and some crabbing and some shrimping and using my residency to do some subsistence stuff. So hopefully that's some videos that I'm going to be making, but that will hopefully bring the cost down of food later. And there's a question about hunting in here, which I will get to in a couple questions. Do you get used to the cold? Yes, 100%. I know lots of people say this, but it really just depends on what clothing you wear. It can get down into the teens or the single digits, and I'm used to it now. I guess it varies from person to person, but it's not so bad once you get used to it. And we're not so far north that we get like -30 like Fairbanks or -60 in the Arctic Circle. So it's all about wearing clothing that is going to keep you nice and warm when you're outside. Difference in budget and expenses. So I'm gonna just say, since I already went over cost of living, I'm gonna say that my budget now is a lot more stable than it was when I was on the road, because there are so many things that are changing when you're on the road and you're going to different cities and different towns to buy groceries, and laundry prices are never the same. Gas prices are never the same. So nice after traveling for 3 years in a vehicle to have a budget that is finally set and I know where my money's coming from. I can save. Budget-wise, I don't spend a lot of money on gas. Eventually, I'm going to be cutting rent out of my budget because I will be hopefully living on our property. So I have to say, yeah, compared to being on the road, living here in Alaska is a lot cheaper and a lot more stable than being on the road, but you guys could have guessed that. Biggest adjustment you had to make. I would say the biggest adjustment I had to make is probably not being able to go where I want to go all the time and just be able to run away because I live on an island. I can't just go and drive 100 miles one direction when I have time off to go explore something new. Instead, you have to take a plane or a boat, and it just requires more planning. I have to say that is the biggest adjustment. It hasn't been too bad in terms of big adjustments. Yeah, just mostly like having to be more self-reliant and figure things out on my own more because there's not a lot of mechanics. There's not a lot of services here. I mean, there's every service that you could potentially need here, but there's a time delay for a lot of things, if that makes sense, because there are less people giving those services. Any difficulties with getting regular healthcare, dentist, etc., gyno, etc. So we do have a hospital on this particular island. I've finally gotten health insurance, thank you. And now I also have medevac insurance that costs $40 a year. Yeah, so if anything happens, anything serious happens, I can be medevaced out. There is a dentist here. There is a revolving eye person, optometrist, who comes around every so often. Yeah, like that last question, it's just a matter of like scheduling. You can't get in all the time to get services done that easily. You have to wait a lot of the time, so you have to be patient. Do you shop Amazon from Alaska? Yes, I do use Amazon. When I first moved into the studio, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't have, and so I used Amazon to get some things to kind of bridge the gap of things that I needed. But since then, I haven't really been using Amazon that much. I tend to, if I need something from the hardware store, go to the hardware store in town here. Yeah, I don't know why I'm ranting so long on this question. It's not really, it's a yes or no question. Yes, I do. You can get Amazon here in Alaska, and a lot of people do rely on it for more affordable things. A couple people have asked, is it difficult to make friends here, or was it easy to make friends here? I'd have to say it is pretty easy to make friends here. You just have to put yourself out there. A lot of people like to say you get what you give in Alaska, or at least in this town. If you're willing to go out and meet people and volunteer and be a part of the community, you're going to make friends no problem. There is a really good group of people here who are 25 to 35 with all different backgrounds and stories and stuff, and we all kind of just like, we're magnetic to each other because we all are here for very similar reasons. So therefore, we are all friends. You kind of do. You just have to be open to it. But if you're not a friend type of person and you don't go out and try to meet people, you're not going to make friends. I guess it's like that anywhere in the world. But here it's really nice because there are a lot of community events and things and nonprofits and that you can volunteer for, and I just love that part about living here so much. It makes me feel like there's a lot more to life. Like when I was on the road, I really was craving a community and more meaning past just going places all the time and seeing things, which is great. It was great for the time. I'm so grateful for that experience, but I think that I was needing something more, a more holistic lifestyle, something that made me feel wholer and made me feel like I had reason to live past myself. So I don't know where I'm going with that, but yeah, you can make friends here easy if you put the effort in. What is the culture like? If I had to describe Alaskan culture in one word, I would say Alaskan culture is intense. I hope I'm not offending anyone by saying that, but I have to say living here does come with a certain air of intensity between the weather and the jobs you can get here, like fishing or logging, forestry stuff, or construction, things like that. It can be very intense, and so I think that a lot of people here are intense. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing though. I think it makes people more real and authentic. It's not like living in other places in the world where things are easy and people are more fake. People here are real. Because we live so closely with nature and the elements, it feels like the culture here really has an understanding for life and the things that really matter. I don't know. Hope I'm not offending anybody by saying that, but that's just my opinion. Another person said, I'm dying to know what's up with your land. Answered that. Diversity and if the people are friendly there to Black people. I think in this community where people are very open, I haven't had any experiences where people were openly hateful towards me. I do acknowledge that I am lighter skinned and I'm a mixed woman, so there is a little bit of a difference between someone who's a darker skin tone than me of what your experience would be like. I haven't experienced any hatred or violence, that's for sure. I have experienced a couple microaggressions here. But other than that, people are very friendly, and I think, and like within my friend group and the people I know, I would have to say it is pretty diverse, considering it's Alaska. So I did not expect any people of color to be living up here, honestly, when I moved up here, and that is definitely a con. I do often miss living in places like Oakland, where there's tons of people who look like me and have hair like me and understand what it's like to be a person of color. But people are friendly here and they're mostly understanding of hearing your story. What kinds of things do you do with your friends in town? We like to play board games. We like to go hiking. We like to have bonfires. We like to go out and have some drinks together. We like to take our dogs out walking. So many people on this island have dogs, so it's like a common thing. Me and Danny like to play music together. We like to go to community events together. There's lots to do here with your friends. You just gotta be creative. We like to cook. We like to have potlucks. Yeah, there's lots you can do with your friends out here. You just gotta be creative. And then this question, how's hunting and do you see yourself participating? I have been thinking on and off. I still have never shot a gun in my life. They still really kind of scare me just because of where I grew up. Here it's not strange to have rifles and to go hunting, and I respect that that's a part of this culture. I go back and forth about whether or not I want to deer hunt. It all just depends on time. Like, I have to be able to practice. I really don't think that I'm going to rely on a firearm for bear protection. I just really believe that I would not be able to protect myself in a situation where a bear came with a gun effectively. So I carry bear spray, of course, and bring dogs and hike with people and whatnot. So yeah, but in terms of hunting, I think that it's a really great way to provide food. I think it's my opinion on it nowadays, and this might change, is that I think it's a really sustainable way of harvesting food compared to like having food that is brought up on a barge here twice a week and buying it from the grocery store. That takes a lot of fuel, and if you can kind of make a portion of your diet food that you forage, fish, or hunt, I think that is better for the environment. I'm really not super versed in management of the wildlife here, like deer and moose and all of that, but Fish and Game really seems to take it pretty seriously, so I I think they're here to keep it sustainable and for these species to live on. So that is just my opinion about it right now, and I respect if you don't agree with me, and yeah, that's just my opinion. I think that I might eventually hunt one day for the environment. After commercial fishing this summer, because we were harvesting life from the ocean, I see that connection between humans and animals, and it feels like a very sacred connection that we have with animals and that the food chain. Yeah, I feel like humans are meant to interact with animals in that way, in a very respectful way, in a way where we use as much of the animal as possible and thank them. And I think it's beautiful. That is one thing culturally here that I did not think I would ever really come to terms with. I was a vegan for very many years, and now that I'm here, I understand it. It makes sense to be vegan if you can like grow all your stuff on your own, and it's like having very minimal impact on the earth. But otherwise, because we live on a remote island, you have to eat the foods that are local to your area if you want to be sustainable. Yeah, so I don't know if that makes sense. Makes sense as I'm saying it right here, but I might watch this back and be like, I don't know. I feel like we should always have an ever evolving and like educate ourselves about the choices and ethics and morals that we believe in life. So that's just, I don't know if did that answer the question? Okay, this is a long one. This person messaged me this one. I don't think the small text field for the question would allow me to put the necessary nuance around this question. So since you and I chat back and forth as friends, I want to put more context around my question. In some of your media, you've been open about the anxiety you feel in certain large cities, certain social situations, and I apologize, I don't remember the details. So hopefully I'm not overstepping here, but all of that to ask, does the size of your Alaskan town, is it more enjoyable? Does it bring you relief instead of stress? It seems to me that you used van life to gather necessary knowledge and experiences to find the place you love. Yeah, I have to say that I definitely think that I will always live in a rural town that is very close to nature and solitude. I do think it is important to have friends and community, and that is why I'm working on building that here. But I do have to say that living in a smaller town with less traffic, specifically, I think after being on the road for so long, I have an aversion to traffic and drivers that are aggressive and scary. So it's nice to be in a place where I can run all my errands in an hour. I feel like being in a town where I see familiar faces all the time, it just brings a lot of like solace and like peace for me, and that's just the environment I like to live in. I feel like my social and environmental anxiety has definitely subsided a lot. I feel like a lot of my social and environmental anxiety was brought on by the circumstances of a pandemic, and I feel like being here has helped me kind of heal from that a lot. I feel like being just a very like chill and friendly environment has been really helpful for me. So another plus side of living here. So these have been my thoughts and opinions after living through every single month of the year. I've considered Alaska my home for almost 2 years now, but I left to travel for a couple months here and there. So now I feel super confident in talking about my opinion about living here now that I've experienced all 4 seasons completely. So I hope this has been helpful. If you guys have any more questions that I didn't answer here, I'll answer them in the comments. I'm gonna be getting back on the horse here and making videos more regularly, and I can't wait to share with you guys all of the things about living here in our property and all of the adventures. So don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. Bye, forehead kiss.